So Aspiring Spike came out with this banger tweet, my 5 favorite things to do in Modern. And that's what we're going to look at today. Surveil an Arclight Phoenix into the yard with Dragon Rage Chandler. Madness Blazing Rootwalla an opponent's turn from Ledger Shredder. Also cast Golos on turn 4 with Cabal Coffers and Urborg. Choose the draw versus 8 racks. Steal that draw from them. Usually they don't want you to have any cards, but when you take the draw, you're gonna have more cards than them. They don't like that. Or cast Archmage's Charm. I'm assuming all modes are good. Draw the 2 cards, steal the creature, counter the spell. They're all very satisfying. Well, okay. In that case, I've got my own 5 favorite things to do in Modern. And we're gonna start this off with Aether Vialing in a Lord in response to my opponent trying to kill one of my merfolk with damage. My god, if I have 2 merfolk on the battlefield, I got 2 lords, and they try to lightning bolt one, and I get to, hey, in response, I'm gonna activate my Vial and put the last lord in play. Now it's like a 1 for 0. Not only that, you're most certainly dead. If you could not, if that was your only removal spell, and now I have something like 12 power at least on the battlefield, the game is most certainly going to be over. Next one, playing Chalice of the Void on 1, passing the turn, and the opponent passes back doing nothing. There is nothing more satisfying than that. You got your lock, you've got the Chalice on 1, you know they have a greedy deck. They're all full of the 1-drops. They depend on the 1-drops. Actually, even better than that, even better than them passing back, is they're just throwing their spells into the void because they need to, like, build up their graveyard for Murktide or Gurmag Angler or something like that. So even better is when you got the Chalice on 1 and they know they're screwed. So they are just playing their spells into it because they need to fill their graveyard for graveyard shenanigans. Next, Force of Negation. I love it when I tap out on my turn to present lethal, and my opponent goes for something like, I don't know, Anger of the Gods, and I've got the Force of Negation. They thought I was tapped out. They thought they could make a big play, but no, I had the counter magic, and now they're tapped out, and I am most certainly going to win the game. So having Force of Negation when I am tapped out. Spreading Seizing a Tron land never gets old. In fact, bonus points if we Spreading Seize all their Tron lands. Also, second place comes like just mana screwing someone with multiple Spreading Seizes to the point where they have only Spreading Seizes or even Seize claims on the battlefield. And these days we could have Spreading Seize and Tide Shaper to turn, you know, spread the love. We spread the islands. We've got a bunch of islands and now they've got a bunch of islands. And lastly, casting a merfolk off Cavern of Souls, and my opponent tries to counter the creature. Either counterspell, cryptic command, remand, anything. I don't care. I love it when my opponents, clearly have a Cavern of Souls on the battlefield. I've named merfolk. I cast a merfolk spell and I'm like, Archmage's Charm it. I'm like, okay. No problem. Anything else, boss? Anything else? That's very satisfying. It's more fun. You know, requires a little help from my opponent to pull this off. But when it happens, I get this huge dopamine-like rush off of it. So this is easily my top 5 favorite things to do in Modern. But what are your top 5? What is everyone else's top 5 here? Good morning, everyone. Okay, Charlie's top 5. Number 1, Tron him out. Number 2, Jund him out. Number 3, Hammer him out. Number 4, I'm assuming control him out. And then 5, go fishing. Very satisfying top 5 indeed. What else do we got here? Chazzy Brown is my favorite thing to do in Modern is untap, draw, then smash face. We basically do that very often. No wonder you love Modern so much. Furying an opponent's whole board state. So the 4 for 2. Oops. Where's Fury? Too many Fury cards. There we go. So your favorite thing to do is like, okay, my opponent has a bunch of 1/1s, some 2/1s on the battlefield. We're gonna cast Fury. Target all 4 of them, and goodbye. They're all gone. Yeah, no one's coming back from that. Absolutely. Or maybe they have a bunch of phantasmal images on the battlefield as well. That's also possible. Alright, MTG Ectoplasm. It's like, you're gonna, number 1, Spell Queller Supreme Verdict. That is actually very satisfying. I should make a video like most satisfying Magic plays. Your opponent plays Supreme Verdict. That is such a beating. But if in response you've got the Spell Queller, it is most satisfying. Most satisfying indeed. They almost always tap out to play that Verdict. So if you already have something worth verdicting and you play the Spell Queller in response, it's fantastic. Second place comes to playing a Selfless Spirit in response, either through Rattle Chains or Aether Vial, and protecting your board through that Supreme Verdict. Second place. But of course, you could also play your Spell Quell and then protect it with the Selfless Spirit. So, what else do we got here? Aether Vial, Skyclave Apparition. Oh yeah. Basically, you activate your Vial, and then Vial in your removal. You have a Shacklegeist ability on a Fatty. Yep, tap him down. Moorland Haunt after a board wipe, and using Flash from Rattle Chains. It's not hard to please you. Just flash stuff in. You got a Rattle Chains, all of a sudden your deck plays at instant speed. Beautiful. What is this? Number 3, stack my triggers wrong. Oh, you're like throwing these out randomly. Okay, number 1, time out playing aggro. Number 2, disconnect from my league games. It's like all troll answers. Number 3, stack my triggers wrong. That happens pretty often online. So what you do is, whatever you select first is going to be on the bottom of the stack. And whatever you select, and then whatever was left, like let's say there's 2 triggers on the stack, because this is what's most common. You're like, what's going to go on the bottom? What's going to go on the top? Whatever you select first is going to be on the bottom. Then whatever is left is going to automatically be stacked on top. Then we got number 4, kissing my grandma for good luck before every match. Nice. And number 5. Alright, well, that appears to be it. Very nice top 5. Okay, Lucas says, exiling top 3 cards of my deck with Riveteer's Charm. The new, basically the new Treasure Cruise. Instant speed Treasure Cruise at that. Versus control. Number 2, Thoughtseize plus Surgical combo pieces. That is quite satisfying. You go Thoughtseize. Turn 1, step 1, Thoughtseize the opponent. Step 2, Surgical Extract. Oh, you needed that card? Did you? Well, not anymore. It's all gone. I think a lot of people also find quite satisfying blowing up a Tron land with Ghost Quarter and then surgically extracting it. Ghost Quarter, Field of Ruin, whatever is your flavor. Is there a part 2 to this? No, Lucas just has 2. Lucas has a top 2 here. Phoenix is one of my favorite things is to explain why their Grafdigger's Cage was useless when I cast Living End. That must be very satisfying, because they're like, Grafdigger's Cage, it's over. It's over, I've got the high ground. And then you're like, well, I'm going to cascade into Living End. And I'm going to exile all the creatures from my graveyard. Then sack all the creatures on the battlefield. Then put my exiled creatures onto the battlefield. And then your opponent's going to be like, nah, 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 I got the Grafdigger's Cage. But then you've got the counter, nah, nah, nah. thing says creature cards in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield. Let's take a closer inspection of Living End. Each player exiles all creatures from their graveyards. So now they're in the exile zone. They're not going from graveyard to battlefield. They're going from exile to battlefield, and that makes all the difference. You sideboarded wrong. Got